We did some tests in Scotland before we left to see if we could actually manufacture our own concrete. And there are various ways that you can do it. And we worked out that we could probably manufacture our own concrete from the garden. And this would mean that we would have to gather the materials, and we would have to sieve the materials, and we would have to filter everything, and then mix it back together again and see if it would set and if it would become a permanent object, or at least have some kind of permanency, because the finished object, as you will see, will last only a certain amount of time. We don't know how long. Before we came, we knew that it would be in the context of an English park. We had images of Cardiorc Palace, and we have exhibited in Estonia before, but not actually been here. So our knowledge of the location was limited. So a lot of decisions had to be made when we arrived. But one of the things that we felt we wanted to do was to manufacture the work from the materials that we could find in the garden. We felt that it should come from the ground and eventually be placed back in the ground again. Oddly, we took one pail of water from the fountain, so even the water that binds the concrete together came from the park. But we took exactly one bucket of water, and it was exactly one bucket of water that we used for the entire cast. And in fact, it was exactly the right amount of chalk that we had. And this is all just by chance, really. Yeah, estimation, but we were very fortunate. It was just right. So we'll take you through that process here.
We started off as a discussion group, and myself, Alan, and 4 other people. The group's changed over the years, and we started off discussing the problems of working together, with no agenda, no philosophy or any kind of manifesto or anything. And from there, became interested in making maybe a group show, and also making the idea of making work together, because we came from a sculptural practice, but it wasn't like a decision to get together and form a pop band called Virus type thing.
The idea of a virus is something that adapts to the situation that it finds itself in, but it's also because we started to create a different context for the work by not showing in the kind of standard stepping stone of gallery places. Oddly, not consciously, but interestingly, everything that we seem to do ends up in what would be called an alternative space, so outside of a gallery usually, or at least if it's in a gallery, it's relative to that space itself. So it's about adapting to that and not just placing something somewhere for that reason of putting it there.
I think it's difficult to work. It's not got any easier to work as a group, and maybe at first when there was no specific projects, or we were just finding things out, it was it still is a laugh, but the theory should go that 3 heads make the work quicker to produce than one.
I enjoy them all equally. I mean, we do have some fundamental disagreements with the approach to work, the conclusion of the process of the work, and the conclusion of the work. And that if we didn't compromise with each other on occasion, I mean, we don't always have this compromise, then the work would never realise itself.
Yeah, no pain, no gain.
Because the project's called Entering, it kind of made sense, and because we were entering a park, and also because in a way Cadreorg Palace is a very grand building, but in many ways as artists, or as probably as more as sculptors, we prefer the big hole in the ground with the concrete in it that will be the new museum. And it seemed pertinent to us because obviously the museum is on the threshold of two very different areas in Tallinn. It seemed quite a pertinent thing to actually use the threshold of Cadreorg Palace and replicate it, not copy it, but kind of model it almost. Yeah, make an equivalent of that. It's the same dimensions. It won't be exactly the same. It's made in a different material.
Sorry, but we are not allowed to open the door. I can guarantee we can view the next object.
We are sculptors and we've made an object. But also, again, that process of making the object should be seen as valuable as the final piece too. And that lasted for 1 week, the process that we went through. And this may last 1 week, it may last 10 years, we don't know. But, that kind of time element is important. But it's all about that control and where that control begins and ends. So it does seem very sober, but it has drunken elements about it. If we were to make an object out of builder's concrete, then we could have this object at the end of a certain amount of time, and we would know what it would look like, and we would know how long it would take. With this process, we know how to do it, but because we're making our own concrete and we're making our own threshold, we don't know how long it's going to take, because we don't know if the concrete's if the concrete's going to set, B, how long it's going to take to set, C, whether when we take the mould off it's all going to still be how it should be.
But what about vandalism? Is vandalism part of the process as well if it happens?
It's difficult to vandal. I mean, it's obviously relatively fragile at the moment, but in a day or so it'll be very difficult to...
I mean, it'd be nice if it was just destroyed bit by bit by people walking over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in many ways that the work that we've done previously in Estonia, in the two Gooseflesh exhibitions, has been very much about a dialogue between two things or two places. For example, the previous two pieces have been certainly had a reference to dialogue between Scotland and Estonia, and found objects in separate places or experiments carried out in separate places, and then the culmination of the experiment happens in a single place. And that we've somehow created a dialogue perhaps between the Cadreorg Palace and the new museum with this walk that we've done, and the piece of work which exists roughly halfway between the two places.